Main thing I want to show off for y'all today. We kind of learned the hard way in fifth period that some of the stuff didn't work, so you guys will definitely have a more complete picture to compare against their work in progress. We want to talk about content libraries, and I keep emphasizing in class that I don't want you to memorize every single thing. I want you to know how the pieces work so that when you want to go get something specific, you know how to put that specific thing together. And I'm going to show you a couple of content libraries and templates that will help you understand what is possible with web design without you feeling the need to memorize the entire steps or understand every single piece of how it works, right? I want to show you there are lots of resources available, okay? We talked about the entry task, doing the highlight of the long weekend, and my main objectives for you today are to install a couple new extensions to your VS Code that make it work a little bit better, a little bit more effectively, and I want to show you it's called the Hero UI content library, okay? And our objectives are a couple things. We're going to get started shifting towards a language called React and Tailwind, which is taking what you've practiced with HTML and putting it in a little bit of a different box. So you'll still be able to do the HTML that you're used to. There's just a new spot to put it in that allows you way more customization, way more animation, way more interactivity, way more polished looking sites without doing a ton of raw coding, which takes way longer, okay? We're also going to talk about a couple new extensions, and I want to show you around the classroom template that I want us to start using once we get all the pieces functional. It can be kind of overwhelming at the start, but just like how I teach, we take it very slow and very simple, and then we get more advanced the more practice you have. Hi, guys. The more advanced practice you have, the more advanced the stuff will become, okay? So generally, following along with me, and then I have two other methods that I want you to think about today. Think of it like pulling levers. You're trying to land a plane that you've never flown before. Just kind of start flipping switches and pulling levers and see what happens when you do that. That's how I learned a lot of my web design. That's how I learned a lot of my coding in general, was just like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to try and figure it out. And then there's also, in quotes, shopping, which is looking around in these libraries for a feature or a function that you would like. And somebody probably already made it, so you don't have to start it over from scratch, right? You can understand that you're getting it today or by the end of this week by you know the idea, not every single step, but you know the idea of using this content library that I'm going to show you. You'll also understand, or you'll also see how these extensions could be useful. The first one I'm going to have you guys install is Tailwind for easier styling. And then there's another one called Live Share for better collaboration. And you should be at least a little bit excited to add some more features and some more style to your future sites. Okay. What kind of features and style am I talking about? Let me close out some of these real quick. It's a teacher offerings day for Flex as well, by the way. If you have not picked your class, you should definitely check and see where you ended up. Okay, so if we look at Wednesday, you're going to see there is a ton of stuff going on in the resources here, as well as some links to languages in the top called React and TypeScript, okay? We're not going to get in depth onto those today, but I wanted to show you where you can find more info in case you wanted to look around before we get that all put together, okay? If you look right underneath the PowerPoint, you're going to find this resource number 2 called Upcoming Template, okay? This is all made in the React framework, kind of like a specific way. If you think about web design like Legos again, this is a type of set, this is the React set, using a bunch of elements from Hero UI and a specific CSS style method called Tailwind, okay? So this is the template that we're going to be using once everything starts working, and it can do a lot of cool stuff like have these built-in animations that you don't have to do a lot of coding for. You can have your buttons. Not only do you have the buttons, but you have the buttons that change when you hover over them and then do something specific when you click on them, like spin or celebrate. You can also see down here in the corner there's some additional information that pops up. All of these kind of things are just pieces from a content library that we're going to show you how to put onto your sites and then customize for your specific needs, okay? If you look at the top, you're going to start to see some things that you're familiar with, like a navigation bar. And then on each of these different pages, because this is just hosted on the internet through Vercel, that's another thing we're going to go into later, there's a ton of different interactive things on here that you can engage with. It will start to slow your computer down just a little bit because it's a lot of confetti. But let's see if mine freezes completely. See how it recovers. If you click it too many times, your website might freeze. So just be careful for those of y'all who are mashing the click right now. You can also add these little things called toasts down here in the corner because they pop up whenever something gets clicked. Like if we celebrate again, you're going to see this info that says the celebrate button is a component. Keep that idea of component in mind. A lot more Lego pieces through the rest of web design till the summer, and a little bit less on the sandwiches, if that makes sense, because the components are more complete pieces. You can also see there's much easier ways to lay out your pieces, right? If you have 3 different, let's say you were subscribing to this, or you were making a payment plan for these discount time machines, which is the kind of funny theme that Jake put together for the example page. You can see a couple different funding options, all styled with Tailwind, all different types of React components. You can see the frequently asked questions are working. You can see that there's a footer that appears across every page, right? These websites look a lot more polished because they are using a lot more up-to-date industry standards, okay? Now that you have the experience with HTML, now that you have the a little bit of practice with CSS, we're going to mash those two together and start learning a version of JavaScript that makes your websites become a lot more interactive, okay? A lot of this stuff is built in too. Jake didn't have to do a ton of configuring in order to get the page looking and functioning like this, so you can look forward to that as well. It's got stuff like built-in light and dark mode, which I'm going to turn on here in 3, 2, 1, so avert your eyes. It converts everything for you. It does all of the math. It does everything needed in order for your website to stay looking good without the amount of effort it would take to raw code this, okay? So you can explore around the different parts of this web page. You can see when you click on some things, it'll say that link doesn't go anywhere, but you can make it do something if you want to, okay? You've got links to different social medias. You've got your light and your dark mode in the top right. And then it's just got a couple starter sampler pages for you to adjust, okay? This is, again, like I showed you with Vercel, just showing you what is possible so that we have to work towards, it's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. We have to work towards this on the slower side. It's going to take us a little bit to get to this point, but we will get to this point by the end of the year, okay? All of that, if you go back to Canvas for today, the 1st, April Fool's Day, all of that comes from this resource number 3 called Hero UI, okay? The cool part about Hero UI is this is the example of where you can start shopping around for these components, all right? And you find those by going up here on the little navigation bar until you see components, okay? So if we click on that, which is the first thing I'm gonna have you do before we start installing some extensions, I would like y'all to browse around on Hero UI and find 2 or 3 components, like a button, like a collection, like a control, right? You can see there's a whole bunch of them on the left-hand side here. Find 2 or 3 of these components, and I want you to tell me what you like about them as I kind of orbit the classroom, okay? Does that make sense? That's the first thing I'm gonna have you do. And then we'll install some extensions. I'll show you how Tailwind looks in the updated version as I start to teach you Tailwind and as I start to teach you React, okay? So I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes, what if we did 7 minutes till 12:30? By 12:30, have 3 or more, 2 or 3, let's do 2 or 3 by 12:30, components that you like, and tell me and figure out why you like them, okay? Make sense? All right, I'll be orbiting until 12:30. You got about 6 minutes now. Look on these Hero UI components library for 2 or 3 that you like. Okay. So picking back up from these component libraries, again, I know that this is overwhelming. All right, this is a lot of code to look at. This is a lot of very technical web pages. Trust me, I'm going to tell you exactly where to click, exactly where to copy and paste so that you just know how to do it at a basic level to get it on your web page. And then as you practice with that basic level, you can start branching out into the more advanced pieces of these Hero UI or these different types of component libraries. Okay. Next thing I want to have us do as like a preparation kind of thing is on VS Code, we need to add 2 new extensions. And I want to show you how to do that from the VS Code app. we're going to be adding Tailwind and LiveShare. So if you click on this links, it just tells you about them. If you search for these in VS Code, which is what I'm going to have you do, then it actually gets added to your app. Okay. So I'm going to open up VS Code with VSC like so. Okay. I zoomed in my screen a little bit. This is the old template that we want to actually close out quick. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to open I had a sandbox folder. It's right here. Share, save. Share, save. Okay. So if I run this page, all right, sorry, we got to get Tailwind installed first. Let me uninstall my old one so it looks like. We're going to restart extensions. All right. So if you are in your VS Code, it's probably got some type of file opened up right here. It's probably got something, whatever you were working on last, as you can see. We want to click on this little Minecraft looking block in the corner with 4 boxes, one that is separate, called extensions, okay? Now, the cool part about VS Code is that it has a ton of add-ons or a ton of different things that you can install to it that make your life easier. You can also change your theme. You can also change the specific type of debugger that you want. How you put together your VS Code is customizable. And the other part about it being this thing called an IDE, an integrated development environment, is that you can add things like Tailwind to make things more functional. Okay? So if you click on the search bar and type Tailwind, if I could spell, it's this one right here from Tailwind Labs called Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. Okay? If you click on it, you're going to see a bunch of much like you would see on the App Store. Let me close out of my pop-ups here. A bunch of descriptions, a bunch of resources. It looks very similar to GitHub in a way. All we care about is the blue install button right here. Okay? And we're going to go through 2 extensions today. This is one of them. You want to install Tailwind CSS IntelliSense so that you can see the words disable or uninstall. That's how you know you've done it correctly. And it has to happen on the VS Code app. If you try to do it from the website, it will likely not work because we as students and teachers do not have the right computer privilege in order to install things or remove things from these computers. Okay? Huh? You can trust Tailwind Labs. They're legit. They have 13 million downloads, so it's pretty good. Let me show you what Tailwind does while you're installing that. You can also review the video later. It's not gonna go bye-bye. It's a strong independent computer. Okay, so what I want to show you here, let me clean up my screen a little bit so you can see what I want you to look at. Tailwind is a new way of writing CSS, cascading style sheets, the stuff that you use to play Flexbox Froggy, and the stuff that you use to configure your Flexbox required by Project 2. It's a new way, a new, more efficient way that does a lot of the thinking for you, okay? In a good way. Cuts out a lot of the boring parts of trying to style something. If you see let me actually get rid of these real quick. Okay. Hold on, let me refresh, sorry. Debug anyway. Yes. Oh, okay, hold on, I broke my computer. Close. Hold on, it didn't work the way I needed it to. There we go. All right. So what you can see on the example where it says welcome to Tailwind Basics is there is a whole bunch of types of styling or ways to change the default look that we can use Tailwind for. So if we highlight this part right here that says welcome to Tailwind Basics, we can find that in the code right here on line number 14. It says welcome to Tailwind Basics, and the way that it's been styled, the way that it's been turned blue and larger and centered is all inside of this class attribute right here on line number 14. Okay? You can still use class in the way that I've shown you by adding it as a separate CSS all classes have periods rule if you want to change something specific, or by using Tailwind, you can write these kind of like casting spells. These are like magic words that do specific things. Okay? If we hover over this part that says text for XL, you can see the specific CSS that it's writing. Okay, it's creating a little class called text-4XL. It's changing the font size and the line height to something specific and keeping it all contained within these angle brackets. Okay, if we go on to the next thing, it says font bold. It sets the font weight to something specific like 700. If we look at text blue 600, it's doing quite a bit of extra computer math for us to get this specific shade of blue. All of this is to say that Tailwind is a way to like quickly write CSS that is more easy or easier to customize. Okay, so, and then if you look at this MB number 2, you're going to see that's affecting the margin bottom by some stuff that we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, and instead of having to write 1, 2, 3, 4 plus different properties and values like I showed you last week, we can put it all onto one class attribute and get an outcome like this. Okay, and the extension that I just had you install is what's showing you what is happening when I hover over these different parts. Okay, so it says background gray 100, and then it does a bunch of stuff that makes the background to a specific 100 gray. Okay, so that's the first thing that we're going to be talking about later is Tailwind CSS. All right. You can see there's a bunch of different ways to customize your Tailwind. If we look at this box with border, padding, and shadow, that is the card example right here on the right. Okay. If we look at the class that says card example, it's got some Tailwind that makes the text 2XL, the font semi-bold, and then adds a margin onto the bottom. There's also a button right here with a specific background blue, and then something called a pseudo class, which I'm going to teach you later. Hover. When I hover over the button, it's going to change the way that it looks instead of just not doing anything. Okay. And then all of this is contained within this section right here that has some width, some margin, a background border, a specific type of rounding. It's got a border in general. It adds a shadow. You can see if you just type shadow medium, it does all of this code for you. This is the Tailwind that Jake and I are going to start teaching you. He's in 5th period, but he helps with 5th period. This is the new way that we can write CSS. And it is, again, a lot to take in all at once, but trust me, it is more simple than you realize. Okay? The next extension that I want you to install by going to the extensions right here, again, is something called Live Share. Okay, 2 words, Live Share. We want the one from Microsoft. Okay, this, not the one that says deprecated. That's the broken one. That's the old one. Live Share from Microsoft allows you to create little VS Code kind of lobbies that allows you to work together. Okay, kind of like when you're all on the same Google Doc, when you're working together on something. It all gets put together in this Live Share extension, okay? And you install that the same way by clicking the blue install button, and you know that it's correct when it says disable or uninstall right on the side here. So what I'm gonna do next to show you how this works, because you don't necessarily need, maybe you do, we're gonna find out together. Install Live Share. I'm gonna send a link in announcements that allows you to join the page I'm about to show you. So if I create a new page real quick that's called like class collab.html, hit enter, and then I'm going to type out my quick HTML stuff, and then we'll add a head and a body like we normally do. Sorry. Okay. What I can do with this Live Share button right down here is I can share my session with you as a class. Okay. So I'm going to click share, which is going to start a collaborative session and copy my link to my clipboard. Okay, so I'm going to put out a quick Canvas announcement so that you're able to join my class collab page. It might get, but it's part of the fun, right? Okay. I'm just going to send it to your period, and I'll close it out after the end of the day. Okay, so if I hit Control V, it's just going to give me a link that you can click on. And I want y'all to click on this link in announcements. We'll see what happens as people start to join. It might ask you to log in with GitHub or Microsoft. Both are fine because you need to have some type of account in order for this to work. Okay, so click on the link, the Class Collab link, and we should start seeing people appear on the right-hand side where it says participants. You want to open in Visual Studio Code, announcements, click on the Class Collab link, see if people can start.
Open Visual Studio Code live share.
Yeah, you can open Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now we're
Okay.
That's not clear.
okay, wait. Close this. We gotta open it in Visual Studio Code. So don't close it. Open. You're gonna see. Continue anonymous or but now you should be able to see. Not. Close out of this. Yeah, the left. Okay, so Landon and Josh have made it.
Wait, what sugar are
Whatever you want. You can sync it with Microsoft. It'll just be your like Minecraft username. And then you can enter. Okay. And then that's to yours. But now you're on my.
I entered the thing on the top of the underneath, and then I entered. Yeah, I don't know what I did. Yeah. I'm already-
That might be one. Okay. All right. So if you're joining anonymously, it's gonna need host approval. Okay. I'm gonna go and approve some people. Okay. Just a second. All right. So let's accept a couple people in here. All right. Now we got a bunch of people all in the same HTML document, but I want to help you get.
What?
Click right here. So give it a second to think.
Because you're always party.
Okay, so close VS Code real quick. Close this tab. Close this tab right there. Okay. Let's see what happens. Click that. Yeah. Okay, so it's activating. Click join. And then go, okay, so go to campus real quick. The announcement. Just copy the link, don't click on it.
Yeah, we're gonna go check out. I don't know.
Okay, so click on it. So just copy it with Control C. Go to VS Code. Enter. Okay. Click the Visual Studio Live. This one at the top, the live share. Click on the live share space. I don't like this. I want it to be like the original. one sec.
Wait, how was it against? I don't remember any. How? Wait, so Mr. Payne was like listening to you guys?
Yeah.
Or did you just? What even was it?
Okay.
Oh, I should have done that for my teacher. You know?
Okay. All right, so we'll figure out why that's not working in just a second. Okay. Okay, so the reason I'm showing you this is because, guys, y'all, gamers, thank you. Collaborating on code is something that you're going to, if you want to be a web developer, you're going to have to do. All right. You can solo develop, but that is going to take a very, very long time. It's not a bad thing. It just understand that the more people who are carrying things, the easier it gets to lift, right? So again, today's very much like a setup day. We're, like I mentioned, waiting on a couple things to get added to our computers so we get the full potential of these sites. This is an extension that you can mess around with your friends, with your classmates. But in the future, we'll have collaborative projects where I'm going to give you guys some type of thing to complete. You'll use LiveShare to collaborate it on at the same time. And this extension allows that to happen. Okay. So it's another way for you to also see how I'm writing my specific code alongside the screen share. So if I wanted to show you how to leave a comment, right, with Control/, you're going to see that type out, and you're going to see how it happens on each of your pages. Instead of necessarily needing to be on the screen share. Okay. And then whenever you're done, whoever the host is, because I'm hosting this session at the moment, just like in the Minecraft servers, I can hit this X button and I can kick you all off. Okay. I am the host, so I have whatever changes get made. So for example, it says how to leave a comment. Somebody wrote sup down here at the bottom, right? All of this gets saved onto my account because I'm the one who started the server. Okay. Let me see what else we have going on today. So we got the Tailwind extension. I'll show you how to use that later this week. We got LiveShare all working, almost all working. We got a couple more bugs to iron out, and then we got it. Hi, welcome back. A couple more bugs to work out, and then we can do some LiveShare stuff. Here you go. What else did I want to show you today? Let's look at Canvas and see what we got here. Okay, we did Tailwind. We did. We'll worry about Shift-Alt-F a little bit later. React and TypeScript are present. Okay, cool. What I want to do today is make sure that all of your extensions are working. Make sure that make sure all your extensions are working. We'll talk more React and TypeScript a little bit later. Let's do this. Why are we doing this? Okay, because I can tell I've done a lot of yapping and we haven't done a lot of like work yet. We've done a lot of setup for work that we haven't quite finished. Okay. These languages, these skills, and these different tools are more closely aligned with our web design industry standards, okay? They are more languages that are a little bit more advanced, but they do have a lot to offer, as you saw with the upcoming template example. You get more features, you get more customization, but at the same time, you got to understand how those pieces work together, which is the point of the class, okay? By having more content libraries and by having more effective ways to style your pages, which we'll talk about, we'll have a Tailwind activity tomorrow to make sure that is all working. You get a further ability to express yourself through these pages. Remember, I'm totally talking consistently about, I lost my train of thought. It was right there. How websites are an artistic expression as much as they are a tool for sharing information and as much as they are a necessity in the modern world. And by having these different animations, different pop-ups, different color customizabilities, different functional customizabilities, if you want a specific thing to happen that you imagine, you're the creator of that, which means you're expressing yourself through it. React is going to give you that ability, okay? Then finally, more skills equals more growth. By experiencing all of these different languages that I have to teach you, or all of these different projects that I'll have you complete, right? You grow in a lot of ways, meaning the wider your skill set is, the more opportunities you will have for that growth. These can be professional growths. You can be making more money dependent on how much different types of code you know and how much code you can get working. You can improve your personal ability by having a new art form, by having a new platform to share things with, right? And I mentioned again, the more skills you have, the more opportunities you have to make money in our increasingly expensive world, okay? Because I talked a lot today and all I want to do is make sure your extensions are all working, we'll move on to the exit task real quick. I want to know what seems intimidating about the new template. The new template is that discount time machine example that you can see from resources right here. It's called upcoming template number 2. What parts about this seem intimidating? Okay. What parts about all this seem scary to you? Okay. That's your exit task. Once you've completed, I'll check for, I'll let you get to your phones around 1:20 or so. The rest of the time is any study hall you might be needing to do, but I want to make sure all our extensions are working as we get into this a little bit later. Okay? Exit task is what seems intimidating about the new template. I'm going to edit your video and post it real quick. Then I'll check for extensions. And then the time is yours to use wisely. Okay? Thank you all for listening.